Hey people, welcome to another 90-day Fiance recap chat. This time it's the spinoff before the 90 days. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows real life couples. One person's from the US, the other from another country. We follow them in all their relationship ups and downs, including cultural barriers, language boundaries, and trying to get that visa, their 90-day visa, to go through that legal process so that they can walk down the aisle and be man and wife again. It's a 90-day fiance. This spinoff of the franchise is before the 90 days. All right, guys. Let's start with Matilda and Niles. For some, they're having their issues, but they're sticking together. I see the love there. His autism is something that they have to try to navigate together because he feels that the masking has caused him to not be completely honest with Matilda about when he was going to be ready to marry. So now he has to break the news to the family. He already broke the news to her, which was very difficult. So it's that morning where they're going to travel by plane, her first plane ride to her country, to her family. And they're going to talk about doing the knocking ceremony, which is like an engagement. But right after they're supposed to get married, yet he says he's not quite prepared for that part of their destination. So they're in the hotel, they're getting up, getting ready. I don't know why she keeps spraying this cologne. She keeps spraying this cologne behind her own ears. Then she's like spraying him all over with cologne. And I'm not really sure why she was spraying him with all that cologne. And he didn't seem to complain at the time, but I wonder if that's going to be an issue moving forward with this cologne. I don't know why she was overspraying him. It's just something interesting fact that I noticed. Before they get on the plane, they pray together, which I think is sweet. He prays for the plane and he prays for the courage to tell her family what's really going on and how the plan has kind of changed because he wasn't really forthcoming. And he was just really allowing things to go as he felt would please Matilda. Um, he hopes that the family is as forgiving as she is and just praying for God to help. And it's kind of cute and funny. They show her first plane ride and how nervous she is, and he's giggling the whole way at her reactions. I know she's holding her ears because I know her ears are popping because I've only had 2 plane rides and the ears were popping, especially the last time. So, I'm kind of a plane newbie myself. She's praying this plane doesn't fall down. Um, she said the next plane ride she wants to take is to the US with her baby. So she says, as they're traveling to, I think they're in the car at this point, they made it safely to the ground and they're now riding or driving to their destination. She basically says, don't lie to the family, you're kind of deceptive with me. Don't do that. Don't kind of try to turn it around on me or whatnot. Don't mask and say like, hey, whatever you say, but then when I confront you, you kind of turn it around. Don't do that, especially not to the family. You're already going to be in the doghouse for the fact that you're not marrying her on this trip as everyone had expected. And I come to see he really isn't good at explanations and the nuances of things, some of the things he was saying and how he was going to explain himself. And then he said he heard that he could be cursed if the family doesn't like him and they're not happy with his decision. So he's really worried and nervous about a curse taking place. He gets there. I think he may have met 1 or 2 of the people, and at least he's heard of them, seen them on video chat. I think he met one of her brothers earlier. But it was like a beautiful, surprising, warm welcome. He says it's a little overwhelming to have all of those people, but he feels a safe sense of family because it reminds him of going to his grandma's house and seeing his family members there. It's not always his best environment, but the sense of family feels good. So they're asking him, like, the uncles have kind of taken the place of dad because I think dad may have passed on, if I'm correct about that. If not, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Tell me the truth on that one. But like, man, what is your mission? So it's already sounding serious and deep already, but it is a mission to be a husband, to take care of a wife, to start a family. So what is your mission? And she kind of, he kind of tells them, but he's like, he's planning on marrying her. Didn't really say when. He's kind of at a loss of words and kind of gets her to help with the feedback. But at his first um, stating everything, basically, like I said, he came here to meet her face to face and he plans to marry her. The family was like still gung ho, showing him a lot of love, and like they're happy and excited that he was there. And he's there like, we welcome you to the family. Like, this is cool. But now he has to explain about the knocking. And they're like, well, he's like, can I do the knocking and then come back and do the wedding? And Mom's, was cool at first, but Mom's was looking funny. She's like, no, you got to do the knocking and then the marriage. They kind of discussed it a little bit and seemed a little bit angry. She's like, no, you can't do the knocking. You're not gonna play with us like that. We was happy and nice at first, but it looking kind of funny. So, they say, well, if you come back in 2 or 3 months, if you want to marry her on the next trip, as you claim that you're gonna do, he shows them the ring he got her and everything. 2 or 3 months. So he's like, he's not really sure about the timing. So she kind of tells him a way to explain it. He's going to do it. He's not sure about the timing, but he's planning to come back soon. Doesn't have an exact date. So now the family's good. They've got the food out and ready, and he's eating with the family and thanking them for the food and allowing him to eat with them and just feeling accepted and welcoming them to the family. And I could feel the love, and I could feel that he felt good about being accepted. It does feel good to be accepted. It's something that doesn't come easy for everyone. For some people it does, but I understand not easily being accepted. So I understand him in that area. And to have a whole family accept you from someone that you love, and now they welcome you into their family, it seems like a beautiful thing. So I'm hoping things work out well for them. They showed us some previews. So there's a little bit more to navigate here. I don't know if all is going to be well, but we'll see what's going to happen on the upcoming episode. Okay, now let's hit Vanya and Bojo. And when they show, they show a little intro of each couple. Like, they show a little bit of the country they're in, little landscape. Then they show the couple standing next to each other. Then they get into their story for the day. And they do that for each couple back and forth. Well, for Vanya and Bojo, I just see Vanya by herself. And that's really an indication of how things are going right now, because Bojo seems unsure about his feelings or connection with Vanya. She says he's giving off mixed signals. They had some nice, good hugs at the airport. Then later on and during their date, he says they're just good friends publicly in front of their cooking class. So she's like thrown. And she feels like, hey, we're on different pages here. On the other end, he's saying he feels a little rushed. He's not sure if he feels the chemistry yet, but he feels rushed into we're together already, and he feels like he needs the in-person time to figure that out. It's a new day, though. It's a new day. He comes, picks her up so they can do a little sightseeing. He brings her some vegan treats, so that looks good and promising. I don't know, I'm not sure what the area they were in, but it was a nice echo there. So he starts to sing and serenade her, and it was a funny moment. It was a cute moment. It was a little bit romantic. One of his lines was saying she likes vegan cakes, and then she came in and added, he was really serious about the way he was singing. The actual lyrics were funny. He was basically singing basic stuff about her and her trip so far. But, he was like doing it in some type of operatic. I don't know what he was doing. He was like closing his eyes, like really into this song he was doing that was like a funny song. He's like, she really likes vegan cakes. And then Vanya jumps in and says she also likes Bojo. And, trying to put that element of romance into the song. But I mean, I felt that they were having a little bit of a moment. They continue to walk and talk, and she's supposed to be meeting some of his friends, and she asks about the mom. She's like, well, mom already married us and all of this stuff. And kind of the same thing with the aunt. And she kind of questions further. And I guess he's feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I guess. And he just basically says, you know, he feels a connection. He feels like friends, but he wants to fall in love with her. And she's like, well, I'm confused. I thought we were already in love. We already said I love you online. Well, he's like, well, it's not the same when we're in person. And, she's upset by this. She feels unattractive. She starts to cry. And she's like, I do feel the physical chemistry. I don't know why you don't feel that physical connection with me. And he says he's overwhelmed. And at this point, he just didn't feel the chemistry. And, he said that to the producers. But right now he's saying, he's saying it in a different way to her, which I think is good. But he's saying he feels like a strong connection and friendship with her, but not the love part, which he's hoping that it will become that. She starts to cry. He hugs her, and she's really kind of upset and kind of put her back. And he's like, well, okay, do you want to slap me here? She's like, no, I want to hug. But she feels insulted by this whole situation and issue. He hugs her and comforts her a bit. And supposedly they continue to go about of their day. But I don't know, when I glad he's being honest with her about this. And when you say you love somebody online, but then you don't feel the love in person, I guess that's the risk that you might take. But for the most part, I understand where she's coming from as far as, we've kind of made commitments with each other online. We have this connection online, but when you see me, what's the difference? What's the problem? As a woman, you would feel, hey, what's wrong with me? And he basically said she's beautiful and all this stuff. So, like, what is the issue? What is the problem? What's wrong? She's invested so much into this emotionally, even financially, coming up there for 3 weeks. So I completely get her feelings. And then part of me also understands Bojo as well. Just when you meet someone face to face, it can be different. It can be like not as good as you expected or imagined it to be. So there's some more things that's going to go on between them two. They showed the preview. So we're going to see as things progress. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll find out. But yeah, this can be a tricky situation when you've invested so much time and so much love and connection with somebody, and when you see them face to face, they're not giving you the same thing back. It can be really frustrating and just confusing at the same time. She has all this passion and love for him that she wants to express, but she has to hold back because he's not feeling the same. It can be very difficult. So I'm hoping the love appears and he really feels the love. I'm hoping that they find their moment. I really do. I hope that they don't have to walk away from each other, but again, we'll see what's happens as they continue to take this ride on Before the 90 Days. All right, so we continue with Tiger Lily and Adnan, and she's still mad about his sexy shirtless shower pic that he put on Instagram. Some of the double standards and things that she can't do, he's able to do. So she's upset about that, but they're gonna talk about it when she gets there. But he has a driver pick her up with flowers. She's still mad, but it's a nice little touch. But he greets her with a kiss at their room. He has flowers and the candle spells out love on the floor. It's actually quite nice. See, he's trying to butter her up because he knows she's angry. He basically is ready to hook up with his wife. Basically, he says he's ready to make this baby. He's a young man, spry. He has his wife here. He's been waiting for so many months for her to come back. But she's still not feeling it. She's still upset about the double standards in their relationship, on how she can't do certain things that he can do according to him. And she says it's not fair. So, she gets I guess to get the hug and the kiss, but she's like kind of being dry with him. And she goes into the other room, and he has to blow out those candles on the floor because he doesn't want to start a fire. But it just makes me think of those candles that Sonny had in the hotel room, and the wax was melting everywhere, and it looks like they let the candles burn all night. Definitely, to me, wasn't safe. I'm glad he let those candles out, pretty quickly after the whole love statement was made. These candles. But they argued a little bit. He said, "Why are you still angry about this situation? I deleted everything like you asked." He said, "Forget everything. Let's make these babies." Um, I thought it was funny the way he kind of blows everything away, like, "Oh, it's nothing. Let's forget about it." But she says no more double standards. He has to fix this situation. They argue a bit. He's like, "I can do things that you can't do." And she's like, "No." So then he goes in the room, has a little fit. She's like, "I'm not chasing him down." And she starts to getting her stuff and putting her stuff up in the room. Like, "I'm not chasing him. He's going to come to take care of this and fix this situation." So sure enough, he comes out and he's like, "Come on, babe, let's talk about this some more." And she's like, "Well, basically, you said my body's for you, then your body needs to be for me. And this is how it should be." Well, he's saying, "Well, a lot of things I can do that you can't do, basically. And that's just the way it is." But he, at this time, he's trying to make everything sound better and just apologize because, he just wants to hook up with her. He's a young man that I believe is trying to follow his culture and respect it. He wants to sleep with his wife. And that's really his goal here. So he's going to say whatever he needs to say so that he can go forward with that. I think that he cares about her, loves her. The level of respect he has for her, I don't know that yet. I know that as things go on, she can tell the difference in the tension, and the control element is just getting stronger and stronger. So we'll just see how it goes, because she is married to a Muslim man. She's an American woman. It's going to be a culture shock for her to make these changes. She made some, but I'm sure there's even more that may be on the way. But she doesn't want to feel alone in this, and says if she has to make all these changes, he's going to have to make some changes too. Let's go to Vea and Sunny. With this intro, we just see Vea by herself because her and Sunny fell out. He found out that she brought her ex-boyfriend on the trip with her to see Sunny, and he had no idea. She's been alone in the hotel, no word from Sunny. He doesn't want to talk to her. She starts trying to text him, and basically he's like, "I don't want anything to do with you. You broke my heart." And she kind of explains to us she's not a very emotional person. Even though it's hurting her, she's not really able to cry or show all those emotions. So hopefully he understands that this still really hurt her and she wants to still be with him. But she said growing up, her family didn't really show a lot of emotions. That was just a part of it. So she goes out to the city, and I thought she was going to meet Sunny at this meeting, but I guess that wasn't the case. She goes to get some street food. I think it's like an apple on a stick or pineapple on a stick or something like that. And she's trying to pay this lady with Apple Pay. And she's like, "Apple Pay? What the heck? I don't have any Apple Pay set up here in the middle of the street out here. What are you talking about?" So she needs cash. And she calls. Guess who she calls? Her best friend, ex-Rory. She calls the enemy. Now, what if Sunny was around there and he saw her with Rory? He bought one of those fruits on the stick too, and now they're talking and eating the fruit on the stick, and it looks like they could be on a date. But Rory is really trying to tell her, don't let this situation ruin them, try to get him back. He did actually see a picture of them on the plane, so I'm trying to figure out who posted that picture. It must have been Rory. That really doesn't make any sense. And if she did do that, that was kind of foolish because I'm sure she knows he has access to the socials. Why would she do something like that and jeopardize their thing? So I'm thinking he did it. I would like to know who did it, and that would be kind of foolish if she did. She finally gets him to meet her at the hotel. She gives him flowers, like, I have something for you. He's like, okay. At first, he's like very lackluster about the flowers, but then he's like, okay, thank you so much for the flowers. He's very polite. I'll give him that. Let's go on the balcony. Now, should you really go on the balcony when you're fighting with somebody and you don't know if they want to be with you anymore and you broke their heart? Is the balcony a best place to go follow them and talk? I'm not really sure about that, but that's what they do. And she's trying to explain to him about how she needed Rory to go on this trip. She didn't want to go on the plane by herself. She needed some support and backup. She didn't know how things were going to go. And he's like, it's not even about him. It's about the lying and you just being honest with me. So they start to share war stories about their life, because Rory also gave her that advice, like, hey, tell him what you've been through. Tell him where you're coming from. So she really tells him about how her and Rory lost this baby together right after she lost her brother, and just how close her and Rory is. I don't know. She seems to be making a big case for her and Rory and them possibly. If it was me, I'd be like, well, why don't you go with Rory then? Because it sounds like you guys are really close. Even though I do feel for her and them both losing their child, and so did Sunny. But she's making a big case for her to continue with Rory. But he's like, I can be that person for you too. Just be honest with me. Open up your heart to me. And I really like that he said, I can be that for you as well. So they're making up. She's like, um, okay, let's spend the night together in the hotel. Just don't kiss on me all night and, keeping me up all night. And he's like, okay. But now he's feeling the pressure. He's like, is Rory like the biggest competition ever? Am I enough? So the way that she set Rory up, she's got him in such a high position that Sonny really feels like he has to compete, and that's never a good idea. To me, I feel like she should have said, he's my friend, he's my good friend. I don't really have anyone else that I can trust right now to this level, because otherwise, I mean, like I said, I think I said this before, she could have took a family member, a family friend. She said they know each other's family. Well, why couldn't you take a family member or family friend and not him? Sometimes you don't have people that are real close to you that's willing to go out of the country with you or even have the time to do so. So that can be very difficult to find someone. So in that mindset, I understand, but being Sunny, I don't know if I still would understand the scenario. I probably just wouldn't be happy either way. But it took a little work to pull him back in, so she has to be really careful with him this time because he almost just wanted to throw her away as soon if any sign of Rory and any sign of a lie and trust issues. So I understand where he was coming from, but I'm glad he's giving her another go. So hope they make this work. And now here's the moment we've been waiting for. Chitty and Renee, are they going to be able to patch up these issues that it seems like Renee is really the biggest catalyst of the drama in their relationship? So Renee, she's been lonely for the last 3 days, not staying with Chitty and her and his sister and brother-in-law, and I think that's his nephew. So she feels unwelcome there. She got into it, especially with the sister. It's like, come on, Chitty, stay with me at this hotel. It's like, no, I'm not going to leave my family, and it's going to look some kind of way, and I'm trying to be a man of God right now. She's like, well, you weren't saying that while you were online, trying to make it with me online, giving me these other impressions of what we would do, etc. It's like, well, I'm a changed man now that, honestly, Chitty kind of probably played that a bit because he is staying with his sister, and they may be people of faith. Not to say that he isn't, and he he did definitely confess God. But in a way, when I look back at him, like, you could have just did all that stuff online, but then you knew you really couldn't do it in real life because you have your sister here and all this family that sees you as a Christian, so you really couldn't do that for real. So when she comes, now you're like, I can't do this. In a way, it's a bit of a cop out, but I still do believe that he is a person of faith that may have just been, tempted and having fun online and doing what he knew he probably wouldn't do because of his faith in person. But when I think about that, I kind of don't like that he played that game with her. But people do change, they make mistakes, they need to grow. And I think she should have been a little bit more accepting of that. That was one of their main arguments. But at this point, she's not staying at the house with sis. She wants him to come to the hotel with her. The last 3 days, it hasn't happened. They keep getting into arguments. So Chitty's he's basically going to put this whole situation to rest, and they're going to talk this thing out for once and for all. So they meet at the beach where he says it's a calm place. The Uber brings him, and I'm like, no guide, no backup. You could have brought your friend. It's like taking a knife to a gunfight because Renee, when it comes to her mouth, she is shooting a lot of silver bullets there. And she has a very dangerous, very hurtful way with words and her attitude. So can Chitty take this, and is he going to be able to diverge? Is he going to be able to dodge these bullets? Well, he's like, Renee, after prayer, they kind of hug, and it was kind of a nice reunion for a bit. She's saying hopefully he's come to his senses, more than half of the trip is over, and hopefully he's come to his senses. So he's like, well, after prayer and all of this, I talked with my God and everything. He's like, I'm about to end this. But after they kind of reunite, he's like, now I'm a little bit more open-minded to see how things go. If she's really able to talk this out with me, we'll see what's going to happen. But like I said, where's his backup? Well, at least the cameraman is there to document whatever happens, and I'm sure they'll jump in if they have to, right? So the whole sister thing comes up, and that's when Renee goes off again. And the producers ask her one-on-one, do you think that you were overreacting when it comes to the sister? And she says, I don't think I ever overreact. And she said it completely stone-faced with no emotion. It was kind of creepy. And I was thinking to myself, she's so sure that she never overreacts. That's kind of crazy to think that you never do something. I could say anyone can overreact. It's a natural thing that can possibly happen, even if it's something, a small overreaction, a little bit of overreaction. At least admit that you can overreact as a human being, but if you act as if it's impossible for you to overreact, that emotion just does not exist within your DNA. You are somehow superhuman that you can't have that reaction. That was the creepy part. And then she starts, as he continues to talk about his sister and kind of stands up for his family, she talks about, well, since you love your sister so much, she makes some derogatory comments. And it's like, why don't you, since you're stuck in your sister's boobs, and she uses another word. So she makes it seem, she says some derogatory things, as if they're having some type of weird relationship with each other, and I don't know. He then pulls out the whole issue if she says she's never been loved, because she's hitting him pretty low. So he had to pull out something. You said you've never been loved, but what he's pulling out is pretty real. I can see where he's coming up with this, but he basically says you're probably pushing love away because of your attitude. And he really stands up to her, and I'm like, okay, Chitty, you did it, yeah, victory. And she's like, well, all the things I told you about these past relationships and how these guys mistreated me and was hooked on drugs and all this, and you say it's my fault? All you try to do is hurt others. And I'm like, what the? he's never really said any hurtful thing to you this whole time, but you put him down a million times. It's on camera. And I'm really upset about it, but also I'd like to see the reunion so she can see her own self on camera. The way she's treating this man, I'm sure she's going to blame it on the editing or something, but I mean, how can you say all you try to do is hurt others? This man has never really shown anything of trying to hurt anyone. If anything, he's a little bit afraid, he's a little bit nervous. I mean, he is someone that is disabled, he's blind, he does need to look out for himself and his welfare. And he's emotional. He wants love in a relationship, and this is what he gets at the end of the day. It's kind of sad. But he's telling her to look inwards within herself, and then she tries to lash out and deflect and says, well, you're just probably using me for a visa. And he's like, I won't sell myself like that. I won't. If I'm supposed to go to America, I will. Like, if I really was trying to get a visa, I would have did everything that you wanted so I could go with you back to get a visa. I would have slept with you and everything and as you requested, and I wouldn't have had my celibacy and kept strong to it as I told you. Oh, wow. She said, well, fine, I'll withdraw myself. If I'm too much for you in this relationship, I'll withdraw myself. And he's like, well, if that's how you feel, go ahead. And I think she wasn't expecting that response. And that was it. He left. He says that, she's oppressive. And everything was always about her. And basically it's done. He wishes her all the best. He didn't tell her she was oppressive. He told the producers and told us. But yeah, we see everything was all about her, and she was a very oppressive character. And she says, as he leaves and gets back in the Uber, I thank God he got back in the Uber. And she didn't do anything to him on the beach, because that's just how volatile her attitude is. Like, I don't know what she's going to do next. And she's talking about this man tore me down so much. She gets the last word, and now she's the victim of this man. Really? At the end of the day, I just don't see it. But I am so glad that Chidi has made this final decision, and the best decision for him. God bless him moving forward. And we're just going to pray for Renee, because she needs a lot. That's all I can say. Can't wait to see what happens with the reunion. When it comes to this couple, looks like a new couple maybe on the next episode. So that's it for our recap chat this time. Any thoughts, comments, questions, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com, where we talk faith, love, and trends. This is Irene. All the best. God bless.